All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this first gathering for Archangel Odyssey 2022. I'm Giovanni. I will be your pilot of this flight. Welcome aboard. We're going to have the most epic 12 weeks together. I am so honored that you have made the decision to be with us in this community over the next 12 weeks on this journey with me and with each other. Welcome to Odyssey. So over the next 12 weeks, I want to share what the framework will be like, what the experience will be like. The first thing is, if you've never logged into our Archangel campus, that is our private members only area. And within the campus, there's a special section for Odyssey. Most of you should have already had a login or received information on how to log in. If you haven't, you can let my team know at this email address, which I'll put in the chat, hello@archangel.cc. Just say, I need access to campus for Odyssey, and they will help you out. And the way the flow will work over the next 12 weeks, every Monday, there will be a new short training video that you'll find in campus. You'll also get emailed with a link to the video. And that will be the sort of training, maybe 10, 20 minutes from me. And then on the Wednesdays, like today, we will gather and do more discussion implementation of the tools so that by the end of these sessions, you actually get work done. And it's less of me talking and more of all of us doing and having conversation. So Mondays and Wednesdays. And I want to start off and kick off by getting to know each other. So which one of these 5 things applies to you the most? And you can just type in the chat the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 is, I want to launch a brand new coaching program from scratch and don't have experience. 2 is, I'm already working with clients one-on-one, but I want to shift to a group model. 3 is, I've created hundreds of transformations and want to create a certification or train the trainer. 4 is, I have a group program and I really want to scale it. And 5, which is my favorite, I'm just here because Giovanni is awesome and I want to learn his gifted marketing strategies. So which one of these applies to you? Please type the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the chat like everyone else is doing. Thank you, everybody. And bonus points if you said 5. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds to answer. Paul, you're awesome. 60% 2, 30% 4, 100% 5. Okay, 10 seconds. Brilliant. Next question. If you are already working with clients, either as a coach or a practitioner, what have you charged your current or past clients? Like, what is the price of your most common program that you run or package? Or if you do sessions, like hourly sessions, what do you charge per hour? Just to get a gauge of where you're at right now. So if you are already working with people, what have you charged for either your package or your monthly fee or your session fee or whatever it is that you charge? Perfect. Thank you everyone for answering. I'll give you 30 seconds on this one. And by the way, I saw someone use the word embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. No matter what it is right now, this will be the starting point. And as part of this journey together, I'll show you how to position yourself in a way that allows you to charge more than you're already charging, or if you're just starting off, to start at a great place so that you make the right amount of money that you can reinvest in making bigger impact. And I will say, if you are new to our world, it's never about the money. Not that we're against money, but money is never the mission. We always see that the mission is the impact and the transformations that we can create, and money is the tool that measures the impact we're making. And we want to be able to charge more and create more value at the same time. So next question, do you have an email list of prospects or clients and a software program to email them at the same time? And if yes, how many people? And big caveat, it doesn't matter how many. Like, there's this weird thing about people comparing social media size or email list size or any of that kind of stuff. The size does not matter right now. I don't want you to be nervous or scared. And if the answer is no, that's also a great answer too. I just want to know where everyone is at right now so that we can customize and co-create the most amazing experience within Archangel Odyssey. So do you have an email list? And if so, how many people can you communicate with? And 10 more seconds on this question. Ronnie's already skipping ahead to my next question, I think. What are your top 2 to 3 social media platforms? And again, don't worry about how many followers or connections or friends you have. I'm just curious where you're investing most of your time. So what are the top 2 to 3 social media platforms where you are investing your time? So if I think most phones have that app now or system where it tracks where you're spending your time, which of your apps, which are your top 2 or 3 where you are investing most of your time? Ten more seconds on this one. Now, I call this the dream question. By the end of our 12 weeks together, what has to happen in terms of your goals, your growth, your transformation, and your outcomes for you to consider this experience and all of our time together a dream come true? So I want you to take a couple of minutes on this one. It's probably the most important question. By the end of our 12 weeks together, what has to happen in terms of your goals, your growth, your transformation, and your outcomes for you to consider this experience and our time together a dream come true? And I will also add the caveat, please don't compare yourself to anybody else. Everyone's going to have a different goals, different objectives, different path. This is about you and what's most important to you. So take a couple of minutes on this one. I will even serenade you with some relaxing music. If you're just logging in, I asked everyone to answer this question in the chat. By the end of our 12 weeks together, what has to happen in terms of your goals, growth, transformation, and outcomes for you to consider the experience and our time together a dream come true? So many wonderful answers coming into the chat right now. Two more minutes on this one. Thank you, Anesh, for using the 4%. Okay, one more minute. Thirty seconds. All right. The kryptonite question. What do you believe could be the biggest challenges and obstacles that could prevent what you just wrote from becoming a reality? So 2 minutes on this one. What do you believe? And this is where, by the way, I will share, if you're new to this group, this is the safest space you'll ever be in to show up as yourself, to tell the truth, to say whatever you want to say. There will be no judgment, no criticism, all support and love from all of us in this community. So whatever's coming up for you, do not be concerned with sharing. I want you to tell your truth, because that's what will help not only me in terms of your guide, as being your guide and coach, but everyone here in supporting you on this journey. So what do you believe could be the biggest challenges and obstacles that could prevent your dream from becoming a reality? Take a minute and a half. These are all such wonderful answers. One minute. Thirty seconds. I'm loving all of these answers. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. The gift question. Where could you use the most support from me and the other members here over the next 12 weeks to make sure your dream comes true? Where could you use the most support from me and the other members over the next 12 weeks to make sure your dream comes true? 2 minutes on this one. One minute. Thirty seconds. Now, before I continue, I want to give you what could be one of the biggest takeaways from the entire 12 weeks or the next 12 weeks. And I'm doing it in the first 20 minutes of the 12 weeks. Are you all ready for this? One of the biggest challenges that I know many of you will be facing, even coming into this, is around how do I attract dream clients? What do I say that will make the right people either raise their hand or enroll in my programs, right? Does that sound accurate? Everything I just did in terms of those just 3 questions has given us the most incredible language to use to attract future people into this program. You can co-create your marketing with your clients so that there's no guesswork. And I will tell you, and I'm glad this is being recorded, because a year from now, you'll get to see this again. You'll be like, oh, I remember when Gio said that. When we do our next Odyssey program, which is going to be a year from now, like this, the landing page for the program will use all of the language that's in the chat right now. So I'll say things like, I know that 12 weeks from now, what you want is guidance and motivation and accountability and all the things you just said, because it's your language. And I also know that what's holding you back right now from potentially moving forward, or where you're afraid, or what you're concerned with is, and then I have a whole bunch more language. And then where we can support you the most right now is, and a whole bunch more language. And the people who will be joining next year, reading this, when they're a right fit, will be like, oh, he's talking about me. This is one of the tools I will be teaching you over the next 12 weeks around how to attract and enroll your dream clients by co-creating the language based on what they want and what's in their head. The biggest mistake I see a lot of us make is that we talk from our own paradigm and perspective, using our own language, our own words. And what you want to do is use your dream client's language. So that's like tip number 1 on our journey together. Now, today's session is called The Circle. And if you haven't already watched the training video for this module, that's okay, because it's our first time gathering. I wanted to make sure I ease you into this. It's I believe, 10-minute video. You can watch it after, but it introduces this concept. And every week there will be a training video to watch before we gather. And part of today is a tool called the Dream Client Inventory. I'll put a link in the chat where you can download it right now if you want. You don't need it right now. You can use it later. It'll also be in the campus, but it looks like this. And I will take you through a bit of a thought exercise around working on coming up with a description of your dream client. And here are a series of questions to think about. And this actually came from the training. And I normally wouldn't do this over again, but for the sake and benefit of anyone who maybe hasn't seen the training, these were the questions I asked, right? Now, these first few are applicable if you've already worked with people in the past. And if you haven't, don't worry, I have some questions for you too. But this is where the phrase top 4% comes from. And what I explained in the training video is that we've probably all heard of the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle. This, where from a business perspective, 80% of your results will come from 20% of your clients. And you probably have like your top 20 clients if you've worked with a bunch of people in the past. And there's probably ways you identify who's in your top 20. Well, how I identify a dream client is the top 20 of your top 20. So if you take 20% and then you do a top 20, it's actually 4%. That's just where I came up with a number. And these are the people who make you smile when you interact with them. They light you up and charge your batteries. You'd have them over for dinner. And I love the last one, you're each other's heroes. When, since the beginning of Archangel 8 years ago, this business, I had this intention of only working with people I loved, where they matched this description. And it's because in the past, I had a different experience. I had an experience that probably most of us had, where it's kind of hit or miss. And then there's some people who really, really drain your batteries. And previous to Archangel, I was in the real estate space, and I did really well. And I secretly hated it because the work wasn't aligned with me, and the people weren't aligned with me. They were not dream clients. They were only there to make a lot more money. And that's not why I exist. And there was dissonance, and I didn't understand it then. But because of that experience, it taught me this. And part of our journey together is that I will help you realize that you can define and declare only the people you want to work with that will light you up and charge your batteries, because money isn't the only currency. I often say that whenever you use the word pay in a phrase, it's a currency. So people pay you money for sure, but they pay attention. They pay respect, right? They pay homage. Any kind of phrase where you use the word pay is what I would call a dream client, because you want people who energize you, where like for me, anytime I have a call like this, by the end of the call, I'm not drained. I'm ready to party because all of you light me up. And it's so, I still think it's kind of crazy, but I love that we've created this, and I love that you can all do this too, where you decide and declare how or what or who a dream client is. And that's part of today's session. So the question I have is, what qualities, characteristics, behaviors, beliefs, and values do you think you have in common? Do they have in common with each other and with you? That was part of that training. Who have you already helped to create amazing transformations? So I'll go through these quick, and then I'm going to go through them again. And then I said, who are your bottom 4%? If you've already worked with people, right? So they drain your batteries. They felt like an obligation. They didn't become a success story. They didn't respect you or listen to you or follow through. They may have been a pain in your butt. Maybe you even fired them as a client, which is totally fine. It's all around identifying what I would call red flags and green flags. And that's what this tool is. But there's a part of this that we have to be honest about, because even though they may not have been a dream client, you still have to ask, what do they have in common with each other and with you? Here's a cool thing. Entrepreneurial growth and business growth is directly related to personal growth. As you become more established and successful, and as you grow as a leader, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a practitioner, you're also growing as a human. You are maturing as a human. They have to go hand in hand. And the problems don't get smaller as you become more successful. The problems kind of get bigger because you are growing to a place that can deal with them. And one of the components of this transformation is to identify the aspects of yourself that aren't really in alignment with your higher self. So maybe there's a client you've worked with or dealt with in the past that was a pain in your butt, but maybe they were activating something in you that's something that you want to change or transform in yourself. Now, if you're starting something new, I would ask, who do you want to be a hero to? I love this question. And is there a description of a person you feel called to support? Now, maybe it's to prevent them from experiencing pain that you've been through in the past. This is often a commonality that I see. And is there a description of a person you know that you can help with your existing skills, tools, and expertise? Now, if these kinds of questions are a challenge for you, that's totally okay. One of the cool things about this program, the way it's structured this year, is that it's cumulative, which means we may do stuff in module 3 or module 6 that will give you clarity and answers to module 1. Everything is connected to everything. So don't be too stressed or anxious if you can't come up with answers right away. You can always come back, and you can even change or edit things as you go. So let's go back to top 4%. What qualities, characteristics, behaviors, beliefs, and values do you think you have in common, or sorry, do they have in common with each other and with you? Now, in this tool, there's a section called red flags, and right beside it, green flags, right? So when you come up with answers for this, I want you to add these characteristics to the green flags section. And if you're starting something new, you can actually dream, and I would do this, of what would a dream client look like for you if you could think of who charges your batteries, or even something I did at the beginning of my business. What are the characteristics that I love about myself? And I would add those as green flags too. And then beside every green flag that you've written, what is the opposite characteristic? And then I would add that as a red flag, because part of this process is to make it clear to identify who you want to work with and who you should repel, who you should attract and who you should repel. And that will come out in the language you create, but also when you are having enrollment type of conversations, and often or almost always we do it through email or DMs. You want to ask questions that will reveal these characteristics, and we'll show you how to do that. Then in your bottom 4%, the same kind of thing. What are the characteristics that your bottom 4% had in common, and make those red flags. But then what is the opposite? So I'll give you an example. If a red flag for you is someone who complains a lot, like it was a client who just kept complaining, or they didn't pay on time, or whatever it is for you, what's the opposite of that? They always paid on time. They were always sharing their gratitude or appreciation, right? So you want to think about the red flags and the green flags. And that's the tool for today. Next module, we're going to go way deeper and talk about the transformation, which is the before and after story you want to take your clients through on this journey with you. And we'll dive deep into what that could look like. So on behalf of today's session, what's been most useful so far? I would love for you to share in the chat what's been most useful so far. And David answered first. David, did you want to unmute and share for the benefit of the replay? Oh, 1 second. Okay, now, go ahead, David, if you can unmute.
Brilliant. I was just typing it. Well, let me. So I think the biggest thing is I've thought before about the qualities of the people that I have really enjoyed working with, and I have actually fired somebody, and the qualities that they had and why that happened. But to take even just those individual things and flip them as well, instead of just saying here are the good and the bad, but also figuring out that kind of cross pattern, is a new idea for me. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome. How about, I'd love to hear from Jenna. Hi, Jenna.
Hi. Yay. I loved hearing the green and red flag and the language around it, and how you can take something, you, Gio, and go deeper with it and wrap your mind around it even more. And then I think what I also like about what you do is you bring in the heart around it, of like, we're having dinner together and this is what this feels like. And so it's like stuff I've heard before, but it's activating new energy.
Good. And that's the point. I mean, it's not supposed to be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the equation is having a framework around how to think about these things. And I know David and I chatted earlier, and he's like, I don't want like cookie cutter stuff. And none of what I share is like cookie cutter, although some of the stuff will be easy for each of you to apply. But with respect to strategy, none of it needs to be complicated. But what I want to shed a light on is a new paradigm or a new lens to look through, so that you can go deeper and differentiate the way you think about these things to come up with where you want to come up to. Like, and You'll all get this soon. I love thinking episodically. So there's 12 modules, and I'm thinking of it like, some of our favorite TV shows where it ends with a bit of a cliffhanger and you have to come for the next episode to figure out what's the next thing. And there's open loops and all kinds of storytelling, because that's way more fun and entertaining. So you'll see a lot of that happening in this. But yeah, thank you, Jenna. I definitely want to always show you what needs to be done in the simplest way possible and make it fun and different. Mike, George.
Hi.
Hey.
I guess you've kind of said this before, but using their language or seeing how they're answering those questions it's magical. Like it helps me with the clarification of what the problem really is and how I can help solve it. And I guess that's the takeaway for me, is that's what will resonate with people. That will get them to step up and say, yes, he's really talking to me. And yeah, so it's great.
Yeah. One of the things I'm working on for a future module, and again, I'll make David laugh because we chatted about this, is that when you're creating a transformation, there's a before and an after, no matter what the transformation is. And we'll actually talk about that next week. But we, as the guide or the coach or the leader, we know the after. And the more you work with people, the more you see the after, you see the transformation, you see people glowing because they've changed and they're so happy and you've helped them. Someone who hasn't worked with you yet, they only know before. And my thing is, and I'm still coming up with language around this, is that there's two languages. There's before ease and afterish. And as the coach or leader, you speak afterish, but the problem is you speak afterish in your marketing. And your potential dream client doesn't understand it. It's like speaking Mandarin to a person who only speaks English. They won't understand it and it will repel them. And then you ask yourself, why aren't people responding to my stuff? Why aren't people engaging with my stuff? It's because they don't understand. So part of this process is to, and this is the challenge, as people who speak afterish, we have to go back to speaking before ease. And the way to do that is to have conversations with clients. And then what I just showed you today is what I want all of you to do at some point, to literally have calls like this, whether it's with clients or potential clients, and ask them these questions and get them to share their responses. And the language they use is gold. And that's the language you will use to attract more people like them. So thank you, Mike. Ronnie?
Hi.
Hey, I love what you wrote here.
I have to scroll up and figure out what I wrote. And I'm not finding it.
Evaluating the clients as much as they evaluate me.
Yeah. This in the beginning, I think, was really tough for me because I wanted to work with everybody. And I certainly wanted to build up a client base of people that would be able to give me testimonials. And now I'm finding myself, in fact, I had a conversation with Mike George before we just got on this call about somebody who's approached me to do some work with them, and how I'm pretty sure already just by their reaching out that I'm not going to work with them. And so it really is about us evaluating and looking to see who is going to be the perfect person to work with us. Because if they're not perfect, then we may not be able to have that transformation, and we don't have a good testimonial that comes forward.
Yep, I love that. Thank you all for sharing your feedback. Today's session is going to end early because it can. And I want to be as efficient with all of our time as possible. We will go longer in future sessions when we have to go deeper. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to think about everything we talked about and then fill in your dream client inventory tool. Like I suggest printing it out, handwriting your answers. There's something magical about handwriting. And then take a photo of it and add it to Campus in the discussion. so that we can share and see each other's answers. Because the cool thing about being in a group like this is that when you see how other people are responding to this, it may spark awesome ideas for you. Like something that's a red flag for someone else may become a red flag for you, so that you have more and more clarity about who you want to attract and who you want to repel. And I keep saying the word repel. It's very intentional, because you actually want to repel people. And if that freaks you out a little bit, that's okay. But the problem we have as entrepreneurs and as coaches and as leaders is that we think we have to be generic to attract the widest range of people possible. And this is what was in today's training, or the training for this module. The more vague we are and the less specific we are, the less people will want to work with us or even resonate with us. So you have to be a little bit polarizing to say, I declare that this is a dream client for me, which means if you're not like this, we probably won't work well together. And that's okay. It's not that there's anything wrong with the people who aren't aligned with you. It just means that they're not going to be a right fit to become a transformation story for you. And the more specific you are, the easier it is to attract people. Way easier. So please keep that in mind. So your mission, please fill out your dream client inventory forms. You'll find it in Campus with this replay once we post the replay later today. And then on Monday, check out the training video for the transformation. And then I will see you all next Wednesday. Thank you all for today's fun session, for hanging out with us, for getting to know each other. And I look forward to the next 12 weeks with all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.